How about doing a little bit of pre-conference on your presentation tomorrow?
Great, okay.
During your presentation, I think you're going to use thinking maps, correct?
Correct.
Well, I'm going to use some thinking maps in our pre-conference here about your presentation.
Great.
What are the different things that you're going to be doing tomorrow?
I'm going to be working with our new participants in terms of planning the big picture of how we work together NUA with the teachers we work with. I'm going to try to work with the consultants to actually have them engage with each other to reflect on what it is that I'm doing and why I'm actually doing it. We're going to have a lot of time where the consultants are doing the strategies themselves, getting through the application, and then analyzing those strategies to see what the strategies were actually for. And then to go back around and to see, do these strategies really, in fact, accelerate learning and get to the needs of underachieving students.
Okay. Let me ask you a question here about the people. Because who is the group that you're presenting to?
So I can tell you what states they're from. I can tell you what background in terms of their educational experience, where they've taught. I can tell you what grade levels they've taught. I can tell you if they're secondary, which area of focus, which discipline they've worked in. We also know people in terms of their particular interest. They came and had to share with us the My Story thinking map.
Oh.
So we can tell you how we use thinking maps to get to know them personally.
Almost a differentiation going on potentially with everyone here.
That's a good point.
Because they have brought a wide range of states, so they have different state philosophies or different whatever that state is thinking.
Culture standards, that's right.
Different culture standards, good way of putting it, culture standards.
So we can differentiate this group based on needs, meaning that in terms of where they come from and what background they have, what might they need to know more of to work with us well.
Put the circle map aside there. Let me, you have a presentation tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Okay?
My favorite activity.
Okay. That's a good presentation there. And so I'm going to ask you, what are your goals? What are your goals for this presentation tomorrow?
One big goal is to actually work with the inductees in terms of getting to know how NUA works with teachers. What is it that we do? Looking at the connection between the learning strategies we use and critical frameworks, the strategies for touching, reaching student culture. Another goal for this is to be able to get the participants themselves to get to know each other better, to actually build a community. Looking at how we take text and help students construct meaning better, some understandings about learning, how it happens, and what accelerates it.
So we have this presentation. These are the goals over here.
That's right.
So how are you going to get there?
One way of getting there is by offering, looking at the big picture together. So we want to get to the big picture, but I will present the big picture. I'm going to get there by using thinking maps as a way of directing different focuses in terms of what we do. Having text that the participants will have to analyze themselves.
The presentation really becomes about learning the NUA culture in a
learning
sense.
The culture, learning the culture, learning the strategies, the practices, why we do what we do.
If we were to have general chunks in order of what you're going to do tomorrow, of the presentation itself, could you just throw out some general chunks here?
Big chunk first is what learning is and how it's affected.
Okay.
Another big chunk is looking at what accelerates learning and the relationship of learning. If we understand how learning happens, how do we accelerate literacy based on this understanding or knowledge of learning? So it's the relationship between the learning process and actually becoming more literate. It's the connection to student culture. The actual analysis of a lesson. In other words, I will actually present a lesson and we will go through that lesson to learn the strategies as well as to analyze the how and the why behind the what of the lesson.
So we have the how, we have the why, which leads to the what.
That's correct.
Okay.
That leads to the what.
Okay. Any other parts?
Last big chunk is where the inductees actually try out for themselves. It's the application of the strategies they've learned to go back full circle and to look at learning again. And what did we learn about the what and the whys and the how of NUA in terms of moving the learning process along?
What kind of reflections do you have with going through this little short pre-conference where we started at first with a circle map, basically with what the general thoughts of it were about this presentation?
Right.
We really were getting the frame of reference here
Exactly.
of the people involved with it. We then looked at a get there goals with the
Right.
cause and effect here map, and kind of just had it flow out here. So with all that in mind, any general reflections you have from going through
I
this?
think one big general reflection is the idea of I have big goals,
Mm-hmm.
but the fact that I will be trying to differentiate to connect to the many different types of expertise that
Okay.
these people are bringing. So it's the
Okay.
constant need to say, I need to be making some connections to the individuals so that I can be connecting from what their cultural reference is in terms of what they do, educationally, expertise-wise,
Mhm.
to what NUA is doing. So that's a big reflection. It's great because I'm going to go back now, look at my presentation
Okay.
again to make sure that I covered everything I said I was going to do, or what else do I need to add to this?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great metacognitive process for me to go back and make some refinements. So
Alright.
thanks, Bob.
Okay.
Okay.